Hello and welcome back to 100 Days of Code with me, Lilly Code. Today is day 34. We're already a quarter of the way through this challenge, so let's get going. We're going to open up our day 18 folder here, or chapter 18 folder, open with code. So, there we go. Let's just open this up. We can go File, Open Folder, and Documents, Sites, Max, 100 Days, Chapter 18, Select Folder. Okay. So here we go. I thought we should have more than that in there. We should indeed. So I'll just have another look around. Max 100 days. What else have we got in here? Chapter 18, code. Here we go. Perfect. 0, 1. Perfect. This is what we want. And now we can do npm start. So we'll open up our terminal, new terminal, and do npm start. Lovely. So I'm just going to listen to the video as always and continue on. Today is Saturday, so why not? Just a little one. So we'll open up our browser there, localhost 3000. Perfect. And here we can see our application that we're building. So there we go. Right, so we'll start coding. So as always, just going to listen to the video here and then start to code along with what Max does. So yeah, we did this. Okay, just catching up, guys, making sure we haven't missed anything. So I am in fact on the next lecture, so we'll just move ahead. So we're in index.js of store. Yep. Okay, so I'm just catching up here. Okay. So Max is just giving us some tips here, and what he's saying is you should never directly mutate the state when you are using a state like this, so with a reducer. So you should not do this. You know, you must use it on a variable and see the way here we are using a variable instead. You don't do it on the state directly. And always return a brand new state object. Sorry, kicked the footstool. So yeah, just know that you should never mutate the state directly like that. You should always create a new variable like this to hold the updated state. I got some new equipment. I hope that the video quality is a bit better for you guys and not as bad, and I hope I don't freeze as much. That was the main prerogative, so let me know. Thanks very much. So it's very important that you do not have a spelling error here. I thought I had a spelling error for a moment, but I don't think I do actually. So we have the names increment, increase and decrement. And increase increases the number by any particular amount. The decrement increases it by -1, decreases it by -1, and the increment increases it by 1, the counter value, but taking in the current state, the count of that current state, and plussing 1. We know all this, that's grand. So we'll just move ahead. So let's just see what's happening next. Redux toolkit. Redux toolkit is optional and it makes using React easier, apparently, and we're going to start using it now, so that's cool. Let's have a go. So we're going to npm install. Cool. So we'll just find the official docs here. He said that it's in the official docs, so quick start. Here we go. So we just copy this, npm install redux.js /toolkit and then space redux-react. So we'll just put this into our terminal and install this here. So terminal, new terminal. And are we in the correct folder? Let's just do ls and check where we are. Yes, there's our package.json. So we can npm install at redux toolkit react redux. Cool. So now we have that done. We are getting an npm audit fix, so we'll just type that in as stated there, as recommended by npm. So npm audit fix and hit enter. And we'll just wait for that to install. 100 days of code, realistic. Oh, well, it's not taking too long. And then once we have that done, we will restart the server. So npm start. And let's see what we get. And I'll just do Ctrl Shift and I to open up my developer tools. So we have an error here, unexpected token, expected a comma. So that's pretty straightforward. We'll just go to the file specified, so store index.js, the file we already have open. We will run it on another port because let's just do that. Perhaps this was outdated, but perhaps not. We'll find out now if we still have that error. We do not have that error anymore, so we'll Ctrl Shift and open up our console again with I, and we can see we have no errors, so we're doing okay. We can increment, we can decrement, we can increment by 1, increment by 5, and then toggle the counter. And do we still get an error when we untoggle? We do indeed. Okay. Okay, so we'll have a look at that. Great. But we're up and running. So now we're going to use our toolkit that we just installed, our Redux toolkit. So up here we are going to import create reducer from Redux. So import, open up our curly brackets, create reducer. Yeah, there we go. And it automatically imported it from @redux/toolkit for us. So we want create slice. Actually, we leave create reducer there because why not, just to see it's another one. Create slice, but we're going to use create slice. We can delete it now in a moment. So underneath initial store we'll just put create slice and 2 brackets, parentheses. Call it below the initial state object. And in here, we're going to have a slice of our global state. So for now, we'll just have one slice and we'll give it the properties of name. Lowercase, that was an accident, name. Oh, dot counter. And these should be in quotes, excuse me. So counter, pass it a string, and then we also want to pass it the initial state. And reducers, which is another object. So we'll add increment, an increment method. Oh, so these should be outside. Oh, excuse me. Like so, yeah. Okay, so decrement. Excuse me. I forget I have a proper microphone now. Decrement, comma, increase. So this should obviously be up on this previous line, and then here we will open and close our parentheses and our curly brackets and another comma, and we are going to toggle counter. Oh, I did it again. I should just keep looking at what I'm doing straight ahead. So sorry, sometimes your fingers, you know, what can you do? Okay, and then inside increment here we're going to pass in state. Okay, yeah, cool. So in here we can mutate this state, unlike in the other place. Okay. And in decrement, we're obviously going to have pass in state and have state decrement, or state dot counter minus minus, which is decrementing it. In increase, we're going to pass in state and the action, which is how much you want to increment or decrement by. So as we had before, how about we just add decrease now as well, because we know we're going to want that too. So state and action, that should be. And here we will have just a minus symbol. So there we go, and we can add in our, oh no, this is a plus, sorry. We can add in our semicolon here, and then down here in decrease we are going to have the minus. So state dot counter is equal to state dot counter minus action dot amount. There we go. And our semicolon. So now back inside our store index.js, just further below, so we have our toggle counter there. That's okay. In here we want to also add in our function, so this will be state dot show counter is equal to the opposite of state dot show counter. So the opposite, as in switch the boolean the opposite way. So that's what's going on there. And we'll also pass in state to this function because we will need that. So back up here. Okay. Let me know how the microphone is. Hopefully it's a bit of an improved sound and visual for you guys, I hope. So that's cool. And then create store. So now we can get rid of, so we have count store here. Let's just keep watching. So we need to actually assign this to some, excuse me. So we need to actually assign this create slice to something. So we'll say const counter slice is equal to create slice. And then, yes, we have it set up like so. And then we pass in, so there's something wrong here. We just need a comma. Okay, and then if we continue to go down, we pass in our counter slice dot reducer to our create store. So we will also import configure store, and we can get rid of this create reducer now, but we can have a little read. What does it say about it? allows defining a reducer as a mapping from action type to case reducer functions that handle these action types. The reducer's initial state is passed as the first argument. Okay, so we will just get rid of this now, and we want to import something else instead. And the other thing we want to import is configure store. Okay, so I'll just copy this because we're going to need this in a moment, I presume, and we'll keep watching. So rather than doing this with create store, we will do it with configure store. And we pass in an object to configure store. So we pass it one main reducer function. So I'm just still watching the video here, guys. Like, I'm quite new to this, whatever is happening right now. So we'll figure it out together. But like, I'm just watching and listening, and I'll tell when I have some information. I will share the information. Okay. What? So I think I should slow it down just a little bit as well, because it's on ×2 speed, maybe 1.75, but why is it count? What? He just put a message on the screen, but very, very quickly it flashed up. Okay, it should be reducer as shown in the last lecture. Why is it counter? A slight glitch during the video recordings. It should be reducer. So this should be reducer. Alright, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's reducer. So that changed name. So now we're going to just add in some more code here, and then when I figure it out, I'll let you know, because I'm not entirely sure right now. Right, so what this returns is an object in a shape like this. This has just come up on the screen, so I'll type it out because it looks interesting. So by using this line here, toggle counter, calling this toggle counter function, we get an object back that looks a bit like this. So a type and then an auto-generated unique identifier. So this is what's returned. So we'll keep on watching. Okay, so now what we want to do is create another constant here and call this counter actions, and then we can use this elsewhere, counter actions, and this is equal to counter slice dot actions. And if we export this, then we can use this in other files. So we'll just add an export statement to the front. So if we now go into the counter, we can import that. So this is an object with our reducer in that. So how we use this now is we can just, rather than dispatching the type and increment, we can just do counter actions dot increment and then run that function, increment, and parentheses, just like that, and the same for decrement. And here we will have toggle counter. So for our increase handler, we will just pass in a value as well of 10, which is how much we want to increment by, and we can add in our semicolons. So okay, great. And now back over in our index.js file, when we are doing our increase, what we want to do instead of accessing action.amount is access action.payload. Like that. So now let's see, I think we're probably going to have some errors, but hopefully not. So yes, we have an error here. So first error, cannot read property of undefined reading counter. And that is in counter.js at line 5. So let's go have a look at that. Counter.js, line 5, counter equals use selector state.counter. So it looks like now we have counter actions. Let's just CTRL and F and look through the different instances of this. So we have imported that from our store. Okay, so it looks like now we don't use counter anymore. So let's just comment this out for a minute and see what happens. Because Okay, so we do in fact need counter. Okay, so let's uncomment that. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. And now, cannot read property undefined reading counter. Okay. So, in my index store, I have my counter defined at 0. I have my counter size, crate size, name, counter. So, counter actions, counter slice dot actions. Toggle counter. Well, I need something in here. I need to actually pass this a method. So, or why do I have that there? Because toggle is here. So I don't think I need this standalone thing here, or else I need to pass it something. So one moment. Okay, so following on. So yep, okay. Okay, so in counter.js, yes, we did indeed import counter actions. So okay, let's keep watching. And I'll just reload our page here. So in our counter here, let's have a look. So let's just move our dispatch up a line. I thought I knew how to do that, but that didn't work, so I'll just copy and paste. Okay, yeah. Do not know how to move that up a line, so I will copy and paste. Okay. And excuse me, everything else looks okay. So I'm just trying to figure out what is wrong, and so increase, yeah. Increase should be action.payload. Okay, so I'm just going to compare with Max's code, because if you can't tell, I'm a bit stuck. So I'm just going to come down here and get rid of these comments, sorry, and scroll back again, just to tidy this up a bit so it makes more sense to come this way down. And now we will go to the files and just compare the code. So I'm just checking which section I'm on. Chapter 18, quite far down, okay. So in here, if I open up a different folder, so open folder, and instead open up this code folder itself. So I'll just click code, select folder, and then we get all of the different code there, and we are on migrating everything to Redux Toolkit. So where is that? Adding slice states, working with Redux state. Okay, so yeah. So let's have a look at the counter.js file in here. So we have our dispatch. Okay, so look, we have declared our counter use selector, and we're passing in our state differently. So we've changed the approach of how we were using this state previously, and I'm not too sure of what the difference is, in all honesty, but let's just copy this over and paste it, and we will learn as we go and as we have a look. So let's just copy and paste that into our own code, which is in 01, the folder. So back up here, source, store, counter, components, counter. And we are doing these slightly differently here. So I will copy and paste and save. Let's see, because that was the line that was giving us an error. And we will just start up our video, our npm again here. Okay, so we'll come back to our terminal. Sorry guys, I am going out for lunch with my friend, so I really apologize for that. So code, I'm just going to do ls, then I'll stay late or maybe I'll just like edit this out, who knows. So we're going to go into 01 and then npm start, And first of all, do I have any others running? No, so I'll just npm start. Oh yeah, because I changed folders, didn't I? So I'll actually just close any other instances. Is there none? I opened it in the same window, or okay, so that's okay. So let's close off some other windows here. Reload. Okay, so we still have an error, so we will compare our code a little bit more in depth now. So let's go back to where we were. So I will, chapter 10, chapter 9, let's check out 9, store, components, counter.js. Okay, and I will just split this left. So if I hover over and right click and go down the menu, and I can split right, yeah, and just close off my toolbar here, or my finder I should say. So now I have chapter 9, the version here, and I can move that over here. I prefer that on this side, and I want to compare that. Oh, come on over here, you. And I want to compare that to my own file. So let's see what's going on differently here. Use selector, classes, counter, actions. Okay, perfect. So we have all that. I can actually make this a bit smaller, it looks like. Yes, that looks good. Perfect, because that's much easier for me to work with. So we're declaring our dispatch for down below. When we want to dispatch our actions, we have our counter, which is using selector state, counter.counter, show pass using state, it's a function, and state.counter, show counter. It's what we are getting back. So then we have a constant function declared, an arrow function, increment handler, increase handler, and decrement handler. So that's all okay. And then toggle handler here as well. Yeah. Then we just have our return statement and export default counter. So everything looks perfect there. I thought I got rid of that, so that's unusual. I will just save that again. So everything is fine there. So let's just have a look at our some other files here, because I'm stumped. So we'll look at our store also, and we will compare that to Max's store. So let's do that too. Chapter 9, and then I just restarted the we're going into chapter 10 here. I just restarted the server already, so we have done that. So here is index.js from chapter 10, and let's have a quick compare. So create slice, configure slice. Okay, we do not need this, just to be safe. Let's get rid of it. So he has got his variable named something else, and perhaps that's why it cannot find counter. Let's just declare this the same way he has. Perhaps we're skipping ahead and later on into the video, but so I just want to wrap this text view, appearance, no, word wrap, there we go. And I'll do it on this side as well, view, word wrap, thank you. So I'll get rid of my counter reducer because it doesn't look like this is needed. Do you know what? I'm just going to copy this code, or I think that's okay. So we haven't set up this auth, so I'll just go back to the previous chapter because we haven't actually got as far as he's got in this particular chapter. So we're in here in our store, index.js. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this slide, our file, sorry, and paste it. and save because I just want to move forward. Right, so let's just go back and compare and see what the difference was there. So now I'm back to my own code. So what have we got? It's and what's the error again? So the error is initial state is not defined. I had got a different error, but let's just have a look. I flew through a lot of things there a bit, you know, because I just had an error, so I was just comparing the code. I couldn't really see what was wrong, but perhaps not the best approach. But anyway, we'll continue. So here I just changed that, so I'll go back a bit more. So this is the way the file was. So we have initial state, okay. We're using configure for store and create slice from Redux.js toolkit. Okay, we have declared our constant counter slice, which is a create slice. Okay, we have our different reducers that we can call and either pass in a state or a state and an action. So we've just added our extra decrease one because we know we're going to need that. It's the same as the increase. We just also pass in an action, and then our store. So we were missing this, so no wonder I couldn't find our store. Okay, so that's what it was, and we have just all this surplus code. Oh no, well there's our store. So maybe if we just got rid of all this stuff that we apparently don't need, that somehow just stayed in surplus. So I'll get rid of all of this and save. Reload here. Okay, so it still cannot read counter. State.counter. And it can't read counter on which line again? Line 7. Okay, so line 7, it's here, it cannot read counter. So did I spell increase correctly? Let's just make sure. So I'll copy this, head over to my counter. Okay, looks like it. And then increment handler, increment, increase handler. Okay, and if I reload, so something is wrong with my counter not showing, so let's just go down here and see what's up. So show, do we have our show variable? Yes. So where are we getting? Okay. So, one moment, please. I'm just trying to figure out why I can't see my counter here. So let's just check. Let's take out this conditional on our counter itself and just say, and maybe that might give us some sort of an indication as to which part of our code is malperforming. So we will just reload this page. Okay, perfect. Excuse me. Okay, so we will continue here, and in our app.js file here,
we are going to import header. We already have done that. Okay. So let's have a look. So why can I not see auth? We're exporting it. We should see this whole thing. So are we running this particular? No, this is in folder 10. So where are we? Here, auth. Okay, so we should still be showing that. Let's just go back to our app.js. Okay, so our app.js is not in fact updated. So great, we'll do that. So here we will just add a fragment in order to house everything else. So this is used in React in order to have a top level item at the JSX and everything nested in between that then. So we'll have our counter and we'll add our header here as well. And then also we want this to be self-closing. And we'll add our auth too. So there we go. And these just need to be imported as well. So import header. There we go. Do I not have it in here? Yep. So that's not where I want it from. This has gone to chapter 10, but we are in chapter 1. So components / header. There we go. And we also want to import auth from components / auth. Perfect. And add our semicolon and save. So let's have a look at that. Reload here, see what the problem is. There we go. Perfect. So now we have our auth, as you can see, and we also have our counter down here. So that's great. So let's have a look at our user profile. So this is a good place now to use Redux. So when we click the login button, we want to set the user to authenticated, and when they're not logged in, we want to set them to not authenticated. So we're going to implement that now using our Redux state. So back in our index.js. Okay, so we are going to call this initial state our initial counter state, because we're going to add another state to track our login. And then this initial state is going to be set to the initial counter state. So I'll just copy that. And we are now referring to this. And then we're going to create another initial state for something else. So we want to call create slice again to create another slice. And we'll add different values in here. So we'll have name, auth, or authentication, and an initial state. And we'll just create a constant up here to track this. So const initial auth state. Like so. And we'll just equal this to an object which is going to simply contain the boolean is authenticated false. Cool. And we can add a semicolon here. And then within our create slice, we have our initial state, which is our initial auth state. And that should not be that. There we go, false. And then we want some reducers as well, which we will call login. So we will have login, which takes a state, the current state, and it sets state dot is authenticated to true. And then in the case that we are logged out, can you guess? We have log out and we set it to false. So we take in the state, we open up our function here, or yep, our function, and we're setting state is authenticated, the property on the state object, to false. And there we go, lovely. And we will assign this to a constant as well, so const auth slice. So we still do only call configure store once, but we can give this reducer an object instead. So we could have counter. And auth, which is the auth slice dot reducer. Perfect. And we also want to expose the auth actions. So we will just export auth actions which is equal to the auth slice dot actions. Great. Export. What's wrong with this? Const. There we go. Great. So we will just save. So we've set up our auth state now. That's great. So we're moving forward. We're making good progress. And thanks so much for joining me, everybody. That's today concluded, and we will continue on tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you all then, and thanks so much for joining me today. Peace. Have a wonderful day.